welcome back to Gunpla TV, sponsored by Hobbylink Japan. Today's episode, we're going to be detailing up our Gundam kits. That's right, we're going to be putting on the bling, and I've got a collar on my shirt. And before we get to the aftermarket parts, we're going to show you what just came to the door today. From the Gundam 00 Awakening of the Trailblazer movie, it's the HG version of the Harute. So for those of you who have your pre-orders in, you're going to be receiving a mail any second now. And rather than talk about aftermarket parts, we decided it would be easier to show you all the things we have here. Let's have a look. So generally we divide it up into, for mecha, we have HIQ parts, things like verniers, rivets, minus molds, things like that. I can just stick my hand in here and take out anything. See, here's a hex nut. All right, reach my hand in here. It's like Christmas here. Some cable. We're not going to be using all of these things today, but we're going to be using quite a few of them. And after we look at our HIQ parts, we also have parts from a company called Adler's Nest, and they also do military models and things like that. So you're going to get a lot of things like gun barrels and weapons and accessories and things like that. And they're over here. I reach my hand into the goodie bag. That is the Adler's Nest shelf. And as you can see, we've got some verniers here, some thrusters. And what's this? I don't know. Oh, a castle nut. Okay. See, I don't even know everything we have here. We have so many of these things. All right. Here's a miniature nut in case you want to make your mecha look like it was assembled piece by piece. And what's this one here? A bulb unit. This is going to be for LEDs, but we're not going to be getting into that today. Now that you've got an idea of the amount of parts that we have here for you, let's go talk about putting them on your Gundam kit. Alright, so I'm back at my work table, and before I start slapping the aftermarket parts on my Gundam, I'm going to take a moment to explain to you the differences in the aftermarket parts. Generally, there's two groups. There's the parts you're going to have to modify your Gundam in order to use, and then there's the parts that will just go on there on your Gundam without any modification needed. So, for example, no modification was needed on this Zaku on the leg cable here. I could just put that on, providing I have the right size. But things like verniers, thrusters, and such, if we look at the Unicorn, I had to do some work inside the backpack to make sure that these stayed. I had to do some modification. So let's start with the easy stuff. Let's start with the non-modification stuff, which means the Zaku. All right, so no modifications are necessary for this this part of my aftermarket detail, unless of course I want to change the size of the part. But because I'm just going no mod on this, all I need is to find my collars, my pipes that have the proper diameter. Now the spring inside here on this kit is 4 millimeters, so I had to be sure to find my aftermarket part that have a 4 millimeter inner diameter. And lucky for me, Adler's Nest had them and had them in gold, so that's cool too. So to put these on, all I really need to do is take the spring off. Just like this. Take the spring off, take off all these old pieces. Sorry, Mr. Plastic, I don't need you anymore. I'll just pull these off. And I'm left with only the spring. Pop over my goodie bag here. Put them on my work table. And just start sliding them on. One after the other. Normally what Bandai does is they indicate how many you should put on. But what happens is if you put them on as they are instructed in the manual, sometimes you're left with some dead space. You'll see the spring underneath, and that's not very appealing to me. So what I tend to do is I'll stretch the string out. So I have extra string, put an extra piece on, and then grab the spring again. So I've got an extra spring piece on this. It's going to take up some of that extra space. Slide this back on. And let's go. I could even maybe put one more on here if I wanted to, and then it would bulge out a little more circular. But this is the effect I wanted, and that took only, what, 20 seconds? Perfect. All right, so with the Zaku out of the way, now we're going to move on to the modifications part, where you're going to have to be doing some gluing and some cutting. And what we're going to use today, we have some verniers, some rivets, spikes, and some minus molds. And for tools, what I tend to use is a pair of heavy-duty pliers with the blade here that I can use for cutting metal, tweezers, and some heavy strength cement, because the normal plastic cement is probably not strong enough when working with metal. So what kit are we going to be modifying today? Well, we're going to be modifying the newest Garazulu, Angela Soper's Garazulu. So as you can see, I've already got a lot of the preparation done, and we're going to be modifying this kit. This kit is actually really good because it has a lot of places where you don't have to do a lot of work to get the part in. These little indentations and stuff are made for aftermarket parts. It's perfect. So let's show you how to do that. So first up in our modifications, we're going to be putting on the verniers. We're going to put these thrusters on. And the kit already comes with its own supplied thruster. It just slides in here, but you know, I could paint these metal, or I could put this metal thruster on. And when you get these metal thrusters from Adler's Nest or HIQ Parts, they will come in sets here. So to make one thruster, you have your rod, and you'll have the inside of the thruster, and then you will have the outside, the booster. And what you'll do is just slide these in here, slide in like this, just like this. And you can see I've actually gone ahead and painted the inside part so you can see it much better. It contrasts with the metal here. Just threw some clear red paint on that. When it comes to this, this little bar here, a lot of times the end part will be wider so it catches on and won't slide all the way through the metal piece. However, on this one it's not, so it's important for me to use the glue. And I already went ahead and did one. What I did is put a little bit of glue on and then put on the inside thruster where I wanted it and let it sit. So after I've got that, all I need to do with my cement here, be careful, is just drop some on the inside of the thruster and then slide this piece in, just like that. And if you want to get it flush, you can try to push it down as much as you can. So we leave this to dry. And the one that I tried last night on the test, this metal rod is 1 millimeter in diameter and is just a little bit too wide to properly slide in here in the gap in the piece. So what we need is just a 1 millimeter pin vise. And we're just going to widen this, 1.5 millimeter. We're just going to widen this hole here. Just stick it in the center there. Give it a few turns. It'll carve out some plastic. One thing to note about this piece on the underside is that if I slide this whole bar in, it sticks out considerably and it's going to interfere with how it goes onto the kit. So I need to shorten this metal rod. So I'm going to take this back out. Take my cutters here, line up where I think it should go, and don't cut like this towards yourself because the metal piece is going to go flying. Try to cut down. So I think this is about right. I'm going to cut. There it is. So now it's considerably shorter. And we'll test it again. Slide it in here. Have a look. Yeah, I think that's going to be all right. It should not interfere because the edge is fine. And if you have it where you want it to go and it's the right length, well, then we can get some glue. So with this glue, I'm just going to put a little bit around the hole that I glued, and then I'm going to slide in the rod, just like this. And then we just leave it to sit, and you work on the next one, right? Oh, here I go. I'm going to start on the next one. Just a little bit of glue. This is probably too much, but this is just for the video's sake. Slide this on. Looks about right. Let it sit. Aftermarket thrusters, just like that.